there have been 5 speakers in support, and for those who want to speak against, there's a risk of a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the motion now be put.
There's an amendment on the boards up there. You
We'll
can't
have to
do
do the amendments
another one
first.
coming.
So, you like to move that the amendment be put?
No,
Yes, I would.
we haven't spoken to the amendment.
I've got 3 more people indicating to speak. Can we just let it on the table for a minute, because Councillor Wood may speak against it, and that actually gives a bit of balance. He may not either.
I think he's come around.
I have Councillor Wood, I have Councillor Cooper and Councillor Watson
I'm
who's
just
seconding
speaking to
the amendment.
Yeah.
He only wants to speak to the
Well,
amendment.
Mr. Chair, I wish to speak to this motion. I want to really put on the table here today that the people of Northcote Point haven't been dealt with in a fair and reasonable manner by this council over this project. And it's really great to hear people saying that they compliment Kevin Clark for the work that he has done on this project. But that's been, I think, a very tardy process. And Mr. Mayor, you went over there, I think, one Saturday or Sunday afternoon, and you spoke to the people and went away, and they kind of thought, well, that's good, the Mayor's been, and nothing came of that. Well, I remember when Brett O'Reilly took over as the project sponsor. I spoke with him, and he came to me and said, look, George, he said, I think we've got this sorted out in relation to Northcote Point. We're going to take the sky path straight down the side of the Harbour Bridge on the eastern side, down the viaduct adjacent to Princess Street. It'll come down to Sulphur Beach, and I think at that stage they were talking about using the under tunnel, which used to be part of the toll plaza at the Harbour Bridge toll area. And that was an area that was an issue that I thought had a lot of merit. But I think, you know, since Seapath has come on stream, I actually can't understand why Seapath and Skypath can't join one another. And that would really necessitate Skypath going down the eastern side of the viaduct, where Seapath is going to actually come up that area to get up to Princess Street. And, you know, I've looked at it, and I suppose Councillor Darby has when he's been reconnoitring the area. But I think that there can be more work done on this project and to get some of these issues sorted. Because, and I hope that this council can do that, is big enough to actually listen to some of these concerns that the people of Northcote Point have, and which was, I think Jeremy Richards really laid it out very well today. And it's not I don't think it's a satisfactory situation where it's landed at the moment, which was the last version of Skypath, the landing at Northcote Point, right under the viaduct, right outside a few houses there, which people, I think they're going to be confronted with a very unpleasant situation when that happens. So I would hope that we can actually do more work on that before this is bedded down. And I don't know if I can get anybody to nod and say we will, because if we just plough ahead as it is, I think it's an unsatisfactory situation that we're going to be leaving the people of Northcote Point with. I just talked to Richard earlier on from the Kaipatiki local board, and asked him about what their attitude was to the southern end of Princess Street, which goes goes under the bridge to where the portal is, or under the viaduct. And that's been said by the Skypath people that road will be kind of gated off, and you'll have to put in a barrier number to get through to your home. Well, I don't think that is kind of very fair. I think that taking that action in relation to the freedom of the people to come and go from their homes isn't on. And I think that idea of taking the Skypath down the outer side of the bridge would alleviate all that aggravation that we have at the present time, which is not satisfactory. So that's one of the issues I have. As I said before, Councillor Quacks and I and some of the officers actually spoke to the head of Transit New Zealand, Zona, some time ago, and it was put to him as to would New Zealand Transport Agency take any further action if this project didn't proceed. And he said that they would, but it would just be a cycling infrastructure across the harbour bridge. Now, you know, that's another area that I think we should be exploring. Why can't NZTA come to the party and put this across the bridge? $33.5 million is what this is estimated to cost in the figures that have been touted about in the documentation. And I do believe that this is a project that should be paid for by New Zealand Transport Agency as it's their bridge. And they should take the liability for this project. So the other issue that I've raised, and I know I get held down on it, but the additional Waitemata Harbour crossing is due, if you read the government's material, between 2025 and 2030. And with that, it's said that there'll be a free lane on the harbour bridge for cyclists, walkers. And I do believe that that is another area that really needs to be looked at, and I think we were told, no, it's going to be later. Well, if it's later, we need to know more, because if we are entering into a project that's going to run over that period when the bridge may become available, it's going to be a cost, because I think the patronage on Skypath would drop off. So I think that this hasn't been handled particularly well by this council, the way it's been handled. Hasn't been through a long-term plan where there's been full disclosure of the facts, which has made it difficult for our community to really engage. So I hope that before the annual plan comes out 2017, and they have the discussions then, that more detail on this project is able to be put out for the public, to the communities across Auckland to comment on. So, and if that happens, I think that'll be a big plus for this council. But these issues that I've raised here are real issues that should be addressed before this project is finalised in its current form. And I hope that we don't hear that nothing can be done, it's all signed and sealed. If it needs buying of houses on Northcote Point, which it may do, so that we don't intrude on the air rights of those houses on Princess Street on the eastern side of the harbour bridge right down on the point, well, so be it. We buy properties under the Public Works Act. If people don't want to voluntarily or willing sell, willing buy a situation, and that would solve that problem, which we're told is the impediment to taking Skypath down the eastern side of the bridge. So that's another issue that I think needs to be addressed, and I hope that it's done, and that we just don't leave this up in the air as it is at the moment, because it's not satisfactory. It's not satisfactory for the people of Northcote Point, and that would also take away the need for all this parking.
Thank you, Councillor Wood. I think,
okay.
I think
Did well there.
there is no alternative going up at this stage, so, I mean,
There's a harder part.
Well,
I think you're making your points well.
Well, I think they're good points, Mr. Chairman, and I hope that they could be taken up by this organisation.
will be.
I mean, I don't
I think a number of them
hold
will
my
be.
breath, but
No.
we'll just maybe, Mr. Mayor, you might be able to do something in your last days here to get this sorted out.
Thank you,
It's a
Councillor
bit
Wood.
like
Thank
Barrack on gun control, isn't it?
you. Councillor Cooper, Councillor
Thank
Quacks,
you.
and then Councillor Watson is going to speak to the amendment, so.
So I'll speak to all of it. Just in terms of the amendment, though it is a laudable idea, I'm concerned we're underwriting the revenue stream, and to me that's a risk of undermining that revenue stream. Also, and I'm sure the next amendment will be about dogs, and so I'm going to speak to
They
that
should
in
be free
advance to
too.
save time, so I don't have to speak to
you
it.
don't
In
need to.
terms of the dog issue, as a cyclist, If
Point
you've
of
got
order,
if
Mr
you've got a
Chairman,
short-
I think you need to see what the
relevance.
amendment is
I'll
first.
try
before
talk
you
come later.
speak.
I'll
You
come
speak
later.
to nothing at the moment.
Are we going to actually be going to speak to that one as well? Because we know it'll come later, and I'm just trying to save time, Mr Chairman, and I see councillor Casey bashing on her watch, and I want to save time.
Okay,
So,
I'll let you keep.
okay, so just in terms
when
of
George is
that, you know, as a cyclist, and councillor Casey may know as well, it's fine if you've got a short lead, but a lot of people have these bloody retractable leads.
Mr Chairman,
and they're
point
a
of
trip-
order,
they're
I
a
would like
trip
to speak to the
wire.
amendment to explain
Trip
what I have in
wire.
mind, and you know,
So-
this is countering
Sorry,
some of the points
Mr
that were pushed to
Chairman,
me.
you did give me free
I
to
did.
just
Doesn't make any
quickly
sense.
say
but
that
I
I
don't
would
want
be
to have a
against.
Doesn't make
discussion
any
about it.
sense.
Well, I'd
Okay.
get it over with quickly if you
Doesn't
just
make
let
any
me
sense.
speak. If I
to do
just
that this
quickly
week.
let me
Get it
get
over
over
very
it.
quickly, very
So that's
quickly.
what I'm saying is I don't think it's feasible in a small area. So in terms of support for the actual substantive, you know, I was actually born on the week that the bridge opened, and so there I've put it out there, right? So, you know, so now, you know, my age is not on my Facebook page, but now you know.
I'll just check the clip-ons.
Hang on,
It's too far.
The clip-ons go.
Excellent.
well, I must say I did not need an upgrade after
The
3
clip-ons
to
are
4
fine.
years.
The clip-ons are holding up.
But I think that you know, the lesson here is that was built in a short-sighted fashion in a time where we thought car will be king, and I'm sure in that age that was what people thought. As opposed to 1932 when the Sydney Harbour Bridge was built and they still had horses, trains, walkers, cyclists, everything and anything. And so it was just built in a time. So, yeah, that's the way it goes. Unfortunately, we got rid of the tolls. So now we're going to have to toll this. And so for me, it is really important that we do make this pay. And I don't think we can subsidise public transport any more than we do at the moment. We subsidise public transport hugely. So for this, we do need to make it pay. We want PPPs to work. We've got to set good examples. We've got to make these work. And, you know, maybe in time we can have certain parts of the community to be free. But I think at the moment we've just got to get on with this one, see how it works. And what people have said, and I remember being on the Regional Transport Committee with Councillor Darby at the time when we had one of our police reps going, "Oh my God, who'd want to ride up there? It's terrible." But actually, I've run over this bridge at events, and what got me into cycling was actually a friend of mine saying, "Hey, let's do this bike, the bridge thing." So I actually went and bought my first bike since I was 9 years old. And I actually did it, and it got me started on cycling. And, you know, you don't have to have a high level. Everybody talks about levels of fitness. Well, hey, if it lifts our level of fitness, all to the good in this city. You know, all to the good for our young people, for all ages. But what I wanted to say was about the Greenhithe Bridge. And we've already seen an example that you give...
Chairman, please. The Greenhithe Bridge.
I'm sorry that I'm speaking about...
Give us the relevance.
Yeah, excuse me. So, no, the relevance is that has a cycle amenity on it, and it is highly used. People come over there all the time because they want to get across that harbour. And so, and my husband's 65, he goes across there a lot. So it's not about age, about levels of fitness. People can actually do this. And, you know, come on, I'm actually speaking as a representative of people. I don't need to be highly intellectual about this. This is about the people of Auckland. And so for me, I go on a lot about the West, but I was born in Takapuna. I've lived in many places in Auckland. This is great for Auckland. You can go to Istanbul, you can go to Sydney, Brisbane, you can go to London. You can go to many places, and people have choice about how they get around. And so why I support this is about choice. This is about great tourism experiences, great family experiences. There's so many things that it ticks the boxes, and I'm a real proud Aucklander, and I want to see this come to light, you know, even if it is going to be maybe by the time I get my gold card. But still, I want the opportunity to walk across it or cycle across it freely without having to enter an event. Thank you.
It won't be free, though.